Kyler Murray's situation certainly got a little more interesting because we looked at the contract extension and a few things came to mind. It was like, okay, I guess Arizona looked at this and said, we're not going to do better. We like him. He has potential here. There's growth there, upside. And trying to find somebody to replace him, or if you franchise tag him, whatever your game plan is going to be. Kyler Murray is an exciting player. He makes you relevant, but then you start to find out the details of the contract. And I didn't know if he was going to get something closer to Deshaun Watson, where you're going to get all guaranteed. Well, that didn't happen, but it's a $230 million contract extension that he got. And with that kind of money, you expect superstar stats, results, postseason results. And then there was an addendum that was released yesterday that I think embarrassed both Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, because it had to do with he has to have mandatory 4 hours of independent study, basically saying, hey, you can't just get by on your talent. You have to have 4 hours where you're actually going to study the game plan. You're going to study film. And he famously came out, this was a profile in the New York Times last year, where he said, I think that I was blessed with the cognitive skills to just go out there and just see it before it happens. I'm not one of those guys that's going to sit there and kill myself watching film. I don't sit there for 24 hours and break down this team and that team and watch every game because in my head, I see so much. He has an independent study clause.
Yeah, but I mean, 40 hours a week is a lot of study to do, though.
It's 4.
4.
Oh, 4. 4 hours a week.
4 hours.
And you better not be playing PlayStation while you're doing it.
Are you doing World of Warcraft in there?
Now, Kyle, you're supposed to be studying your tape. Are you doing that, or are you on your iPad? Good God.
If you're Arizona, it has to make you a little uncomfortable with Murray that you give him all this money, but then you say, here's the caveat. You need to study. How are they monitoring him? And you know what came to mind? Michael Vick, 10 years ago. I'd probably have a ring if I studied more. Michael Vick. Those are his words. Now, I can make the comparison of the style of quarterback that they are, and that's instinctive, that's reactionary, that ability to be able to run as well as pass, and maybe he feels like I can improvise. Johnny Manziel, famously, did the same thing. He didn't study. He thought, I'm Johnny Manziel. Let's go out here and figure it out. We'll draw up a play in the dirt. Well, you see how that worked for Johnny Manziel. You can't outsmart. You really have to work. You can't just go, I don't know, just kind of improvise here. No, you have to work. In college, you can do it. Michael Vick in college was unbelievable at Virginia Tech. Kyler Murray was brilliant at Oklahoma. Well, when you get to the NFL, those guys over there get paid too. And they're studying you. And that's what Kyler Murray has to understand. You can have all the God-given ability. Yes, Eden.
It's 4 hours. I mean, that to me sounds like the bare minimum. That's not even an hour a day to study film. I mean, I've never been a football player. I've certainly never been a quarterback, but that sounds like the bare minimum to ask somebody before you hand them $230 million.
Yeah, I was surprised that it got leaked because it's the actual addendum to the contract that Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network got. He cut and pasted what was in his contract. Well, who gave it to him? I mean, that's embarrassing.
Who is it more embarrassing for?
Well, I understand Kyler Murray's approach, where Kyler Murray say, this is how I do it. They know I've done it this way. Arizona, I think it's embarrassing because somehow that contract got out. Also, it got out and you still gave him this kind of contract. That I find really interesting, that you have this contract and you go, in spite of all this, you don't study, but we want to give you $230 million.
Yeah,
Paul.
Kyler Murray's in his 4th year. At what point did it go from a conversation where, hey, man, you got to study more on your own time when you're at home, independent study away from the facility, to lawyers have to write up an addendum because that's how serious. I'm not making a joke. This can't be the first time this was brought up. This probably was brought up in the past years. And he said, we're at the point now where we have to write it in your contract. And if you read Clause 3, for avoidance of any doubt, players shall not receive any credit for independent study with respect to time periods where material is being displayed on an iPad, but other devices are being used, your phone, watching television, playing video game, and browsing the internet. They have a clause in there that says, I don't know if they're going to track him, but almost like an honor system that you can't be watching Scarface and have plays on the screen. On the other
Well,
screen.
he's probably doing video games or social media, but who's monitoring this now? Is Big Brother going to give him a tablet that says, we're going to monitor you, and you must give us 4 hours every week to study?
The last line of the whole thing is heavy. In the event player breaches the addendum in any respect at any time during the contract, players shall be deemed in default of the contract.
Like, dude, just pay attention for an hour and not play video games.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah, it's not a good look for anybody here. But the fact that it ended up with the NFL Network and Ian Rappaport, that's not a good look for the Cardinals. Now, whatever or whoever his sources are, it's not a good look. That, hey, we like you. Here's a contract here. Can you study a little bit here? Just, and look, maybe Kyler Murray maybe he learns differently. Maybe, he has a problem with learning or studying. Maybe this was an issue that goes back to high school where he just said, hey, I get out there and I make things happen. And I understand that. But at some point, you start to slow down. They're still fast on the other side. And then you have to outthink somebody. Every great quarterback, you got to outthink them. I don't care who it is. At some point, you can't just go, let's go backyard. Just give me the ball. I'll figure it out. Yeah, Todd.
I could wink at the required study thing if they feel like there's concern there that he's not doing enough homework to prepare. But him and his agent, they have to demand that they find out, who leaked that. That's just, it's humiliating, it's embarrassing, and I don't know how they can just stand pat. I'm wondering what's going on behind
Well, what are you
closed
going to
doors.
do?
For something like that to get out.
Well, who's going to tell you anything? Like, are they going to do an internal investigation here to find out?
It's ridiculous that we would find that. It was bad enough like when we were finding out like the Wonderlic scores, but this to me is like on a whole other level that they're basically accusing him that he doesn't prepare properly.
Yeah, Marv.
If you're Kyler's agent, like, what did you say did you just have to go along with it? Or just say, like, no, you put this in my client's contract?
Well,
This is
it's a
crazy.
legal document.
Yeah, that sounds nuts.
You had to sign this. His agent had to see that you put it in writing. That's one of those where you go, hey, part of this deal is, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're getting together with this person and you're going to spend an hour doing it. Like, you could do that without putting it in writing. I mean, there are a lot of embarrassing tentacles attached to this. You put it in writing. Yeah, Paul.
And I can see the GM saying that, hey, we want you to study more, 4 hours independent study. And the agent goes, you betcha. Puts his hand out for a handshake. Goes, no.
Sure.
You're signing a piece of paper that says you're going to study. You got it.
Yeah.
Done deal. No. Here's the addendum. All good.
I made the same deal with my parents.
Okie dokie.
Like, you study, I will. And then you come home and you got C's. Yeah, I studied. Yeah, Marv.
So that wasn't in writing with Mr. and Mrs. Patrick?
No, it was not. Thank God it wasn't in writing. Should have been.
Mom, you got it.
They trusted me. Try to get fit this summer. Get M-Drive Boost and Burn. Burn fat, boost energy, support healthy testosterone, clinically tested ingredients. And for my listeners, you get the first 2 weeks of M-Drive Boost and Burn, only $5. Sign up at mdrivedan.com. Yeah, so the fact that it got leaked, and then you realize that Kyler Murray has gotten to this point based off just improvising, not film study. And I think that's why I went back and I wanted to see, Michael Vick famously did not do game film. The Falcons knew this. They gave him tapes. They gave him tapes that were sealed, and they wanted to see if they were unsealed after the game that they played. He gave them back. He hadn't watched them. And now, 10 years ago, he said, I'd have a ring on my finger if I'd studied. I don't care how good you are. All the greats in all the sports. At some point, you have to outthink somebody. And Kyler Murray, now the upside you might say if you're the Arizona Cardinals is, wow, he did this without studying? What's he going to be like with those extra 4 hours? I'm sure that's going to make it into the highlights during the regular season. Whoa.
4 hours a week.
My God. You
4
got
hours.
They wanted 6, and the agent did a great job and got him down to 4. That's good work.
Yeah.
They wanted 6. They said 2.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we'll do 4.
But you know what's going to happen in September, Dan? The Cardinals will start out slow. Kyler Murray's in his head, spending too much time watching tape, not enough time doing what he did before, and just winging it.
Yeah. Is he watching film? Question mark. Phone calls on this topic, 877-3DP Show. Email address, dp@danpatrick.com.
You should get like PlayStation has an endorsement right now or something.
Ooh. Madden. Yeah. Yeah. Netflix. No, this is when Kyler Murray takes over for Baker Mayfield Jr. III with Hulu. Hey, when I'm not studying, I love to watch Hulu.
Yeah.
He famously didn't prepare for the interview that I did with him in Atlanta at the Super Bowl. Hey, you made a decision? Wait, it's like I surprised him with these questions. You know?
At some point, I think he said, like, do I need to ask your dad?
I did. I yelled across. I yelled across the room to his father because he wouldn't answer it. I was like, when's he make his decision? Can he answer a question? Oh, boy.
I wonder how much that addendum was like cost. Because I bet it wasn't thrown in there at the last minute for free. Oh, an extra 4 hours of work?
That's going to cost you?
That's going to be $15 million. Okay.